Good morning, Colorado. You are listening to the Daily Sun Up. It's a conversation with the Colorado Sun. I'm team editor David Krause. Before we jump into today's conversation, here is a quick message from our sponsor.
Take a day to focus on your goals and learn from top thought leaders. The Ames Community College Spotlight Speaker Series returns September 16th with best-selling authors Dan Heath, Susan King, and change leadership expert Cassandra Worthy, all live at the Ames Welcome Center in Greeley. One day, 3 powerful perspectives. Set the summer trend. Electrify your lawn equipment and help reduce harmful ground-level ozone in your Front Range community. Learn more at simplestepsbetterair.org.
Now, back to the show.
Hello again, listeners, and thanks for tuning in for our monthly music chat. I'm Kevin Simpson, writer and editor here at the Colorado Sun, and as usual, I'm joined by G. Brown, director of the Colorado Music Experience, which continues to add new and interesting content, cataloging the state's amazing musical history. You really should check it out at colomusic.org. How are the music gods treating you, G?
Well, I'm no different than anyone else, Kev. I was saddened when we heard a few days ago that Dolly Parton died after what was described as a brief battle with cancer at age 80.
Yeah, well, I hate to start off on that somber note, but Dolly was not only an unparalleled performer, but also such an incredibly kind heart who used her success to do good in the world, whether that was literacy programs that I think started in her native Tennessee and have gone worldwide, or just a raft of other philanthropic efforts. As far as her music, I think when we got the news, a lot of folks immediately flashed back to whatever stands out in their minds as one of her iconic performances. And I know for me, it was that wonderful duet she did with Kenny Rogers, Islands in the Stream. But looking around online, I noticed a lot of fans gravitated to another one of her early songs. I think you know which one I'm talking about, G.
Oh, yeah. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, when Dolly was a nascent superstar, she was on the Porter Wagoner Show, a syndicated TV series that ran for 7 years. Her and Porter released more than 20 hit country duets together, but when she started to eclipse her mentor and business partner in popularity, there was some obvious tension, and she ended up parting ways to concentrate on her solo career. But first, she wrote I Will Always Love You to express her gratitude and say goodbye. And I've always found it unbelievable that one of the greatest love songs of all time was generated under those circumstances.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'll all certainly miss Dolly, but of course her memory will live on. In fact, long before she became ill, plans were hatched to put a couple of her costumes on display at the Denver Art Museum from October through January. And along with that, there is a conversation in January with some of the folks charged with preserving her legacy. And that obviously all lands a bit heavier now, but you can certainly check out the museum website for tickets. So meanwhile, I don't want to get ahead of myself here because Colorado's seasons are notoriously fickle, but we're now at the end of August on the cusp of autumn. And that got me thinking about songs with an autumn vibe. And we're going to come back to that shortly. But first, I wanted to talk about what I guess you could call a holiday of sorts that really kind of kicks off the season. The amazing Harry Tuft will celebrate his 90th birthday at a get-together this weekend and also celebrate the recent release of his latest CD titled Friends, Lovers, and Other Strangers. And I know we've talked about Harry before on the podcast, G, but I never get tired of hearing his backstory. And I know you've known Harry for decades and recorded a terrific podcast with him that's up on the Colorado Music Experience website. So maybe you could remind our listeners of the significant role that he's occupied in Colorado music dating back to the 60s, right?
Yep. Harry's path since then has been a foundational component of the Colorado music scene. He was the founder of the Denver Folklore Center, an underground disc jockey on underground radio station KFML, a concert promoter, did Joan Baez up at Red Rocks and the Mamas and Papas, co-promoting with soon-to-be Governor Dick Lamb as a great story.
Right.
The visionaries who started Swallow Hill. But at his core, Harry is a musician. He's a collector of songs. It's all steeped in his love for the art of songwriting. And I'm happy to report that after a couple of health setbacks in 2025, he's managed to finish this long-awaited CD.
Well, and when I said earlier that Harry will celebrate his 90th, I meant that literally. There's a performance brewing at Swallow Hill Music, and I would normally advise our listeners to hurry and grab a ticket, but alas, unless you've already done so, you're too late. It's all sold out, and it sounds like quite the celebration at 2 p.m. on Sunday in Daniels Hall, and that's the bigger performance space at Swallow Music, if you're familiar with it. There'll be a show featuring several of Harry's friends, Molly O'Brien and Rich Moore, Bradley Morse, Glenn Taylor, John Magny, and more, and then a reception afterward from 4 to 6 p.m. But, G, when listeners look up your podcast with Harry, they'll find another very cool little feature on the colomusic.org website. And that's photos of the guest book at the Denver Folklore Center, which is, it's quite a who's who. And I'm not going to name drop, so you'll have to check it out. But meanwhile, let's play a clip from one of Harry Tuft's selections on his new CD. What do you got, G?
Well, you might recognize this one. I'll take a little credit for it as well. After his concerts in recent years, I've always told Harry that the warmth and intimacy of his voice really shines through when he sings this, Paul Simon's American Tune.
And I dreamed I was dying. I dreamed that my soul rose unexpectedly, looking back down on me, smiled reassuringly. I dreamed I was flying high up above. My eyes could clearly see the Statue of Liberty sailing away to sea.
Great stuff from a Colorado folk legend. And hey, so I mentioned a few minutes ago that I've been thinking about songs with that autumn vibe. And how about we go head to head with a few of our favorites? That seems to be a thing for us now.
Well, head to head, Kevin, I prefer to think that two half-wits make one entire wit. Is that fuzzy math? I don't know. Let's proceed.
Okay. I am going to start off with a Neil Young song that back in the early 90s was part of the soundtrack I used literally to rock my infant son to sleep. He would usually stay awake for about the first 4 songs on the Harvest Moon album. Not to be confused with Neil Young's Harvest album, which is equally good, but a totally different vibe. But the title track to Harvest Moon is the one that always sends me back to a long ago time when I was a new dad, gently rocking to its irresistible melody. Nostalgic, for sure. Here's Harvest Moon.
Because I'm still in love with you, I want to see you dance again. Because I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon.
I'm going to be just a tad more literal. In the mid-'70s, the Moody Blues decided to take an extended hiatus after 10 years of continuous work and touring. And Justin Hayward, the guitarist and vocalist, sang an acoustic ballad for a release called Jeff Wayne's Musical Version of the War of the Worlds. It was a concept album, a retelling of the H.G. Wells science fiction novel. And Wayne wanted, quote, that voice from Knights in White Satin. And not a bad call, Jeff.
Not at all.
Turns out, released as a single, Forever Autumn became a hit.
The summer sun is fading as the year grows old, and darker days are drawing near. The winter winds will be much colder. Now you're not here.
I love that song. The Moody Blues were one of my favorite bands in my long ago formative years. And Justin Hayward, incidentally, turns 80 in October and is the last remaining member of the Moody Blues after the passing of John Lodge last October. So I'm going to counter with another classic artist, Paul Simon. He included this on Sounds of Silence, which came out in 1965 when I was all of 9 years old. But I loved it then. I've loved it ever since I first heard it. And as often happens, its theme of passing time has only resonated with me more and more over the years. Here's Leaves That Are Green.
I was 21 years when I wrote this song. I'm 22 now, but I won't be for long. Time hurries on, and the leaves that are green turn to brown, and they wither with the wind.
Okay. God save the Kinks. Okay. The Kinks. Part of the British invasion of America back in the 60s, along with the Beatles and the Stones and the Who, they were kind of snake bit in a way. They had some problems during their 1965 American tour, and that led to them being banned from touring over here for several years. So we only had records, some translated, some didn't. The band had a reputation for reflecting English culture and lifestyle. And one of the hit singles during this period was Autumn Almanac, a non-album single, but a finely observed bit of English custom, as Ray Davies was wont to do. Kind of a lost treasure, a big success for the Kinks in the UK, but it didn't even chart over here in America.
Well, the dawn begins to crack. It's all part of my autumn almanac. Breeze blows leaves of the musty colored yellow, so I sweep them in my sack. Yes, 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 it's my autumn almanac. Friday evenings.
Well, gee, musically speaking, sometimes the kids learn from us and sometimes we learn from the kids. And this next one is by an artist, I confess, I hadn't heard of before my now totally grown son. I don't rock him anymore. And his fiance went to hear this guy when he came to play Coors Field recently. And of course, typically I'm way late to the party, but I'm talking about Noah Kahan, an indie folk singer-songwriter whose music, it turns out, is right in my wheelhouse. He's got a great new song called End of August, which would have worked perfectly for this, but I'm going to go with one of his big hits called Stick Season, which is technically late fall, early winter, when the leaves are gone from the trees, hence the sticks. But I'm going to count that as an autumn vibe. And at any rate, it's a great metaphor for lost love. It's got nice lyrics and a great melody. Here's Stick Season.
Vermont, but it's the season of the sticks, and I saw your mom, she forgot that I existed, and it's half my fault, but I just like to play the victim. I'll drink alcohol till my friends come home for Christmas, and I'll dream each night of some version of you that I might not have, but I did not lose. Now now your tire tracks in one pair of shoes, and I'm split in half, but that'll have to do.
Okay, Kevin, let's get the lead out. My final selection is Ramble On by Led Zeppelin, and the reasoning is all in the first verse. The leaves are falling all around. Time I was on my way. But now it's time for me to go. The autumn moon lights my way. And by the way, it kicks.
The autumn moon lights my way. But now I smell the rain, and with it came, and it's heading my way. Sometimes I grow so tired, but I know I've got one thing I got to do. I ramble on. Now's the time is now. Sing my
Okay, now I'm ready for sweater weather. Although honestly, we barely even had any of that last year, but I'm optimistic for an official change of season before too long. But meanwhile, I think celebration of the state's 150th anniversary is still in season, and it's definitely in season at the Colorado Music Experience. Lists of 150 things about Colorado. I know we've done them at the Colorado Sun here. Those have been the order of the day, and you are joining the parade. You've got a list that you're rolling out as we speak. Tell us about that.
Well, we like having the last word, right? Colorado Music Experience is observing our state's sesquicentennial with 150 events celebrating our shared musical history. And it's a great way to access COME's content. We'll be parsing out each entry on Instagram through the end of the year, so please work ahead and follow Colorado Music Experience on that platform if you're not already.
Well, I also wanted to check in with you about another very cool addition to the Colorado Music Experience, though it comes on the heels of some very difficult news for music fans. Glenn Hansard died barely a month ago at the way too young age of 56. Tell us a little about his musical legacy, G.
Glenn Hansard played with a band called The Frames, but his career reached new heights following the 2007 release of the film Once, which starred him, an Irish singer-songwriter, and Czech-born singer and pianist Markéta Iglova as struggling musicians. And their tune Falling Slowly from the movie soundtrack won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, amongst some pretty stiff competition, as I recall. And Hansard and Iglova performed as the Swell Season at venues all across the world, including a pretty stirring workshop at the 2008 Telluride Bluegrass Festival. Up there on the summit of Ajax Peak, there was an amazing afterglow, if you will, as they captivated the audience with a magical performance. And that started a special connection to Colorado as Hansard found some inspiration in our state. My favorite memory was at Telluride in 2012 when he belted out The Weight in tribute to the band's Levon Helm, who had died that April. So we all took a gut punch on the morning of July 29th with the news that Glenn, a very beloved musician, was killed after a motorcycle crash in his home city of Dublin.
Oh, man. Well, the Colorado Music Experience has something that may give solace to fans of his music. Tell us what you got going on, G.
Yeah, as the cliche goes, out of tragedy comes something good. Tim Benko, an acclaimed videographer and photographer, has stepped up to provide Colorado Music Experience with a remembrance of Hansard called from footage that was shot at Telluride. And it's a true tonic for fans and a unique encomium to a guy who really put his whole self into his songs. That's really represented in this video. And Tim promises that more legendary Colorado performances by some more fallen musical heroes are to come. I don't know. I'm thinking Todd Snyder, John Prine, and even Johnny Cash might be next in the queue.
Well, what a tremendous talent Glenn was. What do you say we let him play us into the weekend with that Oscar-winning song, Falling Slowly?
Sounds good to me, Kevin. See you in September.
Thanks for joining us, G. And thank you, listeners, for making the Daily Sun-Up part of your day. Have a great weekend.
Take this and Kimball, I'm pointed home. We've still got time. Raise your hopeful voice. You have a choice. You've made it now.
Thanks for listening, and finally, here are a few stories that you should know about today.
A group of skiers has filed an antitrust lawsuit against the ski resort industry's 4 largest players, arguing the operators conspired to inflate prices at the country's busiest ski hills. The complaint was filed this month in U.S. District Court in Denver and names Colorado-based Vail Resorts and Alterra Mountain Company among the defendants. Residents of a 120-unit affordable housing complex in Eagle were on course to be evicted in 2023 when the development went up for sale. But a public-private partnership involving Eagle County worked together to save it under a deal that also brought $13 million in renovations. Reporter Betsy Welch has the details. Instead of adding new roses, President Donald Trump's White House Rose Garden is growing statues. And one of them comes courtesy of a well-known Loveland sculptor. George Lundeen contributed a bronze depiction of Thomas Jefferson signing the Declaration of Independence. It joins statues already displayed there of George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, and Ben Franklin.
To read these stories and much more, visit our website, coloradosun.com. As an award-winning nonprofit news outlet, we take our mission of credible, independent journalism seriously, and you can check out our trust indicators at coloradosun.com/ethics. Our music is by the Denver-based Matt Skellinger Group. A link to their music is in our show notes, and a special thanks to Swallow Hill Music. I'm David Krause. See you next time.